Once we started to travel overseas, some of us set up American-type yards, and I think that was around about the turning point where people could see what hire yards looked like. We worked hard at getting people to want to come into the yard and to be welcome when they came in and to be comfortable in that they wouldn't be embarrassed about asking for a sort of machine when they didn't know the right name for it. The association ran all the time, and anyone could call anyone else in the industry and they would take the call, and if you had a problem they would help you with a solution. And that was the real worth of the association.
My father had a business which was called Richard Stevens, and then when he died, my brother and I found ourselves with the business. And a big help was when we actually went to the HRIA Association for the first time in 1973. That would have been when we first met Andy and Nev and Barry McDonald. When you first meet those people, they didn't seem extraordinary, they just seemed like ordinary guys. They were bold, they would buy in the sort of bulk that we wouldn't even begin to think about. Generally speaking, the more they had of any particular machine, the more they rented them out.
From going to the American conventions, we saw how they were run, and we decided to try and create this association with other people, which happened, and we said, well, let's get together. The first one we had was at the Metropole Hotel in Sydney. The second one was up at Terrigal. We just decided that we wanted to get together, have speakers come in and learn from each other, but also learn from professionals in other industries, which we did.
The highlight of the year would be the conventions when they started up at Terrigal. We're all young married men and we could park the kids and get away for a weekend. You know, I remember the first American guest that we had at Terrigal was a fellow by the name of Bill Risto. And poor old Bill, wherever he was at the place, you know, he'd have 2 or 3 guys around him just besieging him with questions.
If I was starting in the industry now, one of the first things I'd do would be to join the association and attend the conventions, but also the other meetings that occur throughout the year. Meet the people, learn, ask lots of questions, also visit yards. And that's the way to learn, to see what people do, how they do it. The conventions and meeting people is the start of learning and developing the knowledge needed to be successful.
We were there at a unique time. Had we arrived at that industry 20 years later, I think it would have been quite different. Or 10 years earlier, it wouldn't have existed. And it's very rewarding if you're doing something that you really love. I was very lucky that way, but for a lot of people, going to work was a chore. For me, it was quite the reverse.
I'm proud to say that I made myself available for service for the HRIA Association. It's a wonderful industry. You're part of so many different organisations. You're supplying equipment to factories, you're supplying equipment to big construction sites. There's enormous variety, and it's very stimulating to have these people ring up and you know you're doing a good job and making certain things possible. You know, I look at a piece of HRIA gear on a job now and it looks pretty good to me. I think the people that have come on afterwards have done a fine job.